I could make a list of a few who are, like, beyond politics. Remember Benazir Bhutto? No?
Really?
The Prime Minister?
Yeah.
Are we on? The Prime Minister of Pakistan?
You really? Yeah. Okay.
Come on.
All right.
Are we
All
on?
right.
Okay.
All right, we got it.
Okay, here we are. We're talking about politics hot. For panel, if you had to make a bet on who will win the GOP nomination in 2024, Ron or Don, and that's it's going to be the Trump or DeSantis, who would you bet it would be? Well, there's a broad open question.
Don.
Don.
Ron.
I'm leaning more toward Ron.
Ronald McDonald. No, I think DeSantis has a shot.
Yeah. Oh, he's got more than a shot.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he won the straw poll in New Hampshire, and
He feels a little Christie-esque to me, like he's peaking right now, but he's not actually going to, like, land the plane.
oh no, he's not Christie-esque.
He is very Christie-esque.
No, Christie's twice the man he is. Okay. The U.S. economy added over 500,000 jobs in July. Is that proof that Biden was somewhat right in claiming that the U.S. is not in a recession?
Yes.
There's a lot of suspense there.
I think, isn't it dangerous to do weekly statistics and try to figure out
Well, I mean,
trends like this? I mean, haven't we learned that things go yearly?
also that, like,
2 yearly, 3 yearly? I mean, it's like...
Well, do you think no? Like, I mean, that's not a bad sign.
there's a.
It's not a bad sign, but I wouldn't say, yeah, we did it.
It's a moot point question because people don't. It's how they feel and how their actual.
It's like
I
Trump's
agree with that.
finances. It's like how I feel about it in the moment is how much I'm worth.
Right. Well, he always feels very well about himself.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's an actual definition of recession when GDP declines for 2 quarters. But no one knows that or gives a shit
No one
about
knows
it.
what a quarter is.
That's actually it's more of a press definition because there's another definition that's based on the National, what is it, Bureau of Economic Research,
Yeah,
right?
BLS.
See, you've already lost
yeah.
everybody.
Yeah, you've already.
BLS,
No one is.
It's how what matters is how people feel, how much they pay for
Right.
gas, how much
Exactly, nobody
inflation,
cares.
all that.
Right.
The unemployment rate is relatively insignificant compared to how people actually feel. I will agree with you on that.
And the unemployment rate is 3.5%. That's as low as it ever goes. Now, it also could be people are in shitty jobs they don't like. I mean, that people. Well,
I don't think she works for you. I don't think she works here.
I don't think audience member here is a shitty job. I think it's one of the better jobs you can.
Better than being a panelist.
A recent study shows that loneliness and isolation raises risk of heart attacks and strokes by 30%. Wow. I don't
You know, they should get those people on obesity right now and figure it out.
It's a double whammy.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this, Dave, being that you wrote your latest novella during a time of worldwide social isolation?
Absolutely. I mean, you know, statistically, they can point to things like that, and I suppose it's true. I mean, statistically, but it also intuitively makes sense. You know, when your heart hurts,
Right.
that's stress, and that's your heart. I mean, it's not your physical heart, but it does seem to be some kind of correlation.
Well, I mean, one of my big issues with Western medicine, why I don't want them ever to tell me what to do with my body, is because I could name 1,000 things, but right off the top, they pay no attention and give no credence to the mind-body connection. And if you can't read it on a chart, if you can't quantify it, and that's not, I think in 100 years we will be looking back at the way they do things now and just the way we look back 100 years ago. Do you really think in 20 years they'll be going like, yeah, 2022, that's when we pretty much had it all figured out health-wise? No. We look back 100 years and go, I can't believe they're doing it. I can name things they're doing right now that I know as a layman that are going to look bad.
Right.
I mean, 80% of COVID people in the hospital got antibiotics, which don't work on viruses. Now, there may be sometimes other reasons why you would give, but just antibiotics, the way they give them out like Skittles. I mean, I'm glad we have such a thing, but they're making it so they're not going to work anymore because we overprescribe them. I mean, that's just one of dozens of things. Anyway, don't get me started on that, or do. After the... Thank you.
Oh,
Yes.
thank you for, you know, amongst the swag that you give out, thank you for the box of ivermectin.
Well, he's written about that. That's a good example. I assume that you're being snarky liberal about that. Ivermectin.
Just snarky.
Okay. Well, because that's... But good example. Like, if you only watched MSNBC, what you heard was, this was horse medicine. The rubes are taking horse medicine. Okay. It's not just horse medicine.
I know.
Okay, all right. But I mean, that's a good example of how people are in their bubbles and they only read and see one thing. Oh, these rubes. You know who's a rube? Anyone who's wearing a mask outside. That's a fucking rube. You know, I see 22-year-olds wearing a mask outside. What pussy morons.
I don't think it was the rubes. I don't think it was making fun of the rubes. I think it was actually casting aspersions on the Republican, on the right elite who have an anti-scientific agenda to propose. You know, so it's not.
Well, again,
it's not really.
Again, it's a very tricky thing to throw on anti-scientific.
It is. I should take it back.
When there's so much...
This is live, Bill. I only got so many
No, I know.
words.
I'm just saying. But there's been a lot of bad science on both sides.
But that's how science... Look, Bill, science works badly. Science works by making mistakes.
Right.
That's how it works.
Okay, but we should... Yes, it does. So
until it doesn't.
Okay, so therefore...
Until it doesn't.
Therefore, don't say... Fauci says, if you don't believe in me, you don't believe in the science.
Well, that's... Yeah.
There's no the.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, well, I think...
You've been wrong about a lot of shit.
Yeah, I think Fauci's time is come and gone.
No.
Well, also, I mean, Fauci, 81, he didn't have trouble with COVID. Biden, 79, didn't have trouble with it. The Queen's 150. Can we stop with the forever flu?
We also sometimes work backwards from like the politics of it. Like when Donald Trump came out and said that he took hydroxychloroquine, for everybody that was like automatically the drug doesn't work. Whereas the drug, it's not the drug's fault that Trump's like it. You know?
There's no Republican or Democratic drugs.
Yeah, exactly.
Ivermectin has been given to millions of people. I don't want it. It's not my cure.
Right.
Or maybe
But there is an agenda to throw a lot of stuff out there to see what sticks from one side rather than the more monolithic scientific side on the other side.
I agree with that, but again, it's not the drug's fault.
No,
right?
no.
Like, yeah.
Right.
So like you still have to like the science.
I began this by thanking him for the ivermectin in my dressing room.
In a mocking way. After the U.S. announced killing Al-Qaeda leader Ahmad Zawahiri, some people are asking if this truly makes America safer. What are your thoughts?
Well, can I lead? I have some thoughts here.
Please do.
You know, the idea that because it's 20 years later that we should somehow let this guy go and retire in Florida is absolutely fucking ridiculous to me. My view on this is that we should find and hunt down every single person who helped plan and execute the 9/11 attack, even if it takes us to the gates of hell.
I know where they are.
I know.
They're golfing with Trump in New Jersey. It was the Saudi Arabians.
But
that's who did it.
And you know what's amazing to me about this is, and no one should ever compare anything to the Holocaust, and I'm certainly not going to do that here. But you know what? We can learn from the Nazi hunters. We can learn from the Mossad. Because you know what? Those motherfuckers are still hunting down Nazis today.
No.
Yeah, they are. Yes, they are.
They would have to be 100.
Exactly. They are finding the 100-year-old ones. And if
You're talking about the active Nazis in the past, not the ones in the present.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah. But if you commit these atrocities, You're not let off the hook.
No.
I don't care if it's 20 years later, if it's 30 years later, there's going to be some retribution from Al-Qaeda. Like, what, they're just sitting on their hands and like, oh, we're all good with America now? No.
So my only pushback on that, I did a story on that touched on al-Zawahiri a couple of years ago on the drone program. We've been trying to kill this guy for a long time, and he's been reported dead at least twice. Before there's a human rights group in Britain called Reprieve that reported that we bombed a school and there were 76 kids and 29 adults who were killed.
Trying to get al-Zawahiri?
Trying to get al-Zawahiri.
What year was this?
There were 2 big attacks in 2006. There were some others. My point is, we're going to create more.
That's a fact?
That's a fact.
That we killed all those people and we know it was trying to...
You can go
I'm
back
just asking because I never heard that.
Yeah, there were 2 big attacks and there was a town called Har and another one called Shanghai.
Right.
The point is, we're going to make more al-Zawahiris that way, and
Yes.
that's what I worry about.
But we apparently have improved the technology because we got the flying Ginsu knife. And also, I must say, I find it so interesting, the hypocrisy of the Al-Qaeda leaders, because they said bin Laden was living in a cave, remember? He wasn't in a cave. He wanted to be in Abbottabad. He had a nice house. And the second we pulled out of Afghanistan, al-Zawahiri moves back into Kabul. They want the nightlife. They want the good restaurants. They don't want to live in the cave out in the fucking mountains. They want a place in town. They want to be in the city.
Yeah, bin Laden was all like, #Abbottabad, right?
But one other, and so I don't mean to be too serious here, but one other thing about this was a lot of Biden's critics said that when we pulled out of Afghanistan, that we were going to let the terrorists just run wild there. And this sort of blunts that criticism.
Wait. Who said...
A lot of Biden's critics...
But the terrorists are running wild. The Taliban are completely back in charge, and they reneged on everything they ever said they were going to do. Okay, women are back to being third-class citizens, and they're letting the terrorists move back into their pied-à-terre in downtown Kabul. Okay, what are you talking about?
You know who's not running wild is the head of Al-Qaeda, al-Zawahiri. Okay? So I think that matters.
Well, there's always...
Okay, well, he was, and we got him, but they let him back in. The Taliban were not good partners, not honest negotiating partners. So look, I'm all for... I think Biden did the right thing by pulling out of Afghanistan.
I agree.
You think that?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And it was a tough decision.
Yeah, it was the right decision.
And did he stick the landing? No. It's so disappointing why something that consequential couldn't have been done with more efficiency. It just makes me worry.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
What?
Or 10 years ago.
10 years ago. But the fact that he finally did it, they had time to plan it, and when they finally pulled it off, it's like they only thought of 2 days before. And it makes me worry about everything in this country, because this country just really can't do anything efficiently. And I thought the military was the last line of defense. All right. I've kept you long enough. Thank you very much. You're rehired, ma'am.